Hello everyone, Luke Smith here. Welcome back to another quickie reading. It is Saturday the 20th of March 2021. It's 15 minutes to 11 PM. So we will do it and just click the recording and 20 seconds in. Okay, let's do it. Today we're going to read about the game Place, which is a place Chris has for the majority of his teen life and early adulthood has been volunteering at and been going to until he got banned. I'll be reading about the owner of the game Place next week. The game Place is not there anymore. It is turned into another place, and the owner is I don't think the owner has anything to do with the new place anymore. So let's start with a quote. I also hope that the game and hobby place in Charlottesville burns to the ground along with Michael Schneider, and that's the owner. Chris being oddly poetic in two ways. The game Place, also known as Quickville's Hobbies, Games and Toys, was a comic book, video game, card, toy and hobby shop in Charlottesville, Virginia from at least 2002 up until the summer of 2008. Okay, it didn't last for long then. I thought it lasted since the late 90s or something. Chris hung out there on a regular basis, going there every Friday without fail to play the Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! TCGs. The shop hosted the Pokemon TCG League, where Chris served as a self-proclaimed volunteer gym leader, though he was not endorsed in any way and was largely simply tolerated by the store. After a long period of increasingly disruptive behaviour and repeated warnings from the staff, Chris was permanently kicked out of the store by one of the managers, Michael Schneider, on the 6th of June 2008. After his permanent ban, Chris attempted several times to regain access to the store, to no avail thanks to Michael's insistence. I'll be reading up against Schneider in next week's quickie reading. Following the judgment after the 28th of October 2011 incident, see below, Chris was forced to keep away from Michael Schneider at all times, which by extension meant that he was permanently banned from the store by law after the judgment up to its closing in June 2014. As of 2015, the premises formerly occupied by the place are now host to the Gearharts, a artisan chocolate shop. Yeah, I knew it was a chocolate store, but I didn't know it's like a third party chocolate store, or like Fulton's or something like that. But I do knew it was like a candy store or something. We're gonna look at some pictures later, but not yet. So we've got a lot to get through. This is quite a lengthy article, not as long as previous ones. People of note: Chris originally met Megan Schroeder at the game Place in 2005, where they bonded over their shared interest in Yu-Gi-Oh! Megan continued to hang out at the shop even after their friendship with Chris collapsed in the spring of 2008. Although their relationship by that point was strained, to say the least. Once she broke off contact with Chris, she did her best to ignore him entirely when they were at the store at the same time. The other two best known patrons of the shop, aside from Chris himself, were Mims and Lucas. The two friends are the primary source of most of what is known about Chris's behaviour at the game place, and most of the information in this article, which they revealed during a detailed Q&A session on the CWCki forums. They're also famous for having taken and uploaded the first photograph of Chris to reach the internet, which Mims, Snapped and Lucas uploaded to 4chan in the fall of 2007. Michael Schneider was one of the store's managers until he became the owner in 2011. Chris often mistakenly referred to Schneider as the store's owner long before he purchased the store. Since Schneider would I think it's Snyder, not Schneider, I'm saying it wrong I think, would eventually become one of Chris's real life enemies when he kicked Chris out of the store in the summer of 2008. Okay, Chris's attitude at the game place. Got another quote. Chris would rarely ever shake anyone's hand after a game, and when he did, he quickly followed up with hand sanitizer. And that was Mims who said that. In his early days of the game place, Chris's behaviour seemed to have been more childlike, for lack of a better word. According to Mims, who was a regular at the store for the entire time Chris hung out there. Chris avoided using foul language when he first started gaming at the store. He also never failed to show up for Pokemon games in his old Ash Ketchum costume. This costume was eventually retired, however, by the time of the 2007 photo. Chris was showing up in his usual clown shirt and Sonichu medallions, and Chris's behaviour grew more aggressive and vulgar over the years. According to Mims and Lucas, Chris often became angry at his card game opponents, even small children. In October 2007, email from Megan mentions an incident where Chris was extremely threatening and insulting to a guy whom he thought was putting moves on his gal pal. Mims recounted a few instances of Chris displaying blatant racism with his dislike and distrust of black people. He was openly suspicious of the young black kids he played Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon with, apparently because he thought they were going to make off with his cards. Yeah, not all black people steal stuff. It's like they're not all stealers. Where was I? There we are. Chris also nearly managed to earn himself a beating from the older black gamer by the name of TJ. Got another quote. Chris yelled at him, "I'm going to smack your effing face down," and TJ stands up like he's going to beat his ass. Chris shrinks back down and says, "I mean your face down, monster." Yeah. And that was Mims in Mims and Lucas Q&A. Likewise, Chris's homophobia occasionally surfaced when he was hanging out at the shop. A gay regular at the shop, Matt by the name of Eric, was the target of mockery, insults and threats from Chris, although Mims noted that for obvious reasons Chris wasn't likely to ever do him any physical harm. Chris also assumed that two of the shop's regulars were gay because they happened to exchange a few jokingly romantic remarks. His literal mind took that as proof that they were an actual couple. Okay, we got Chris Lee, card gamer, with a quote. Chris was pretty awful at the games he played, and that was Mims summing up Chris. Though he apparently spent plenty of money buying new cards at the store, and built them into a sizable collection of themed decks, Chris didn't have any aptitude for deck building or strategy in the Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh trading card games. Even when playing against small children. When he rarely won games, he rarely won games or advanced in tournaments, although Mims recounts one reason where Chris managed to win a match on a day. Right, I'm going to read that again because I completely misread, I think. Although Mims recounts one occasion where Chris managed to win a match on a day when most of the regular players were absent, and proudly hollered, "I am the level up king." And I don't know what happened, it got big, but I'll edit it and make it look nice. So yeah, let's continue. What I wanted to do, I wanted to really check, because I always thought, like, did I actually do this article? But I looked down the list and I didn't. I didn't do the article. Chris often declares that he was a gym leader in the store's Pokemon League, an older player who manages tournaments, keeps up with the wins and loses and so forth. Let's do this. Yep, I'm just making sure. It's mentioned on his resume. What the fuck would you put that on your resume? For instance, and talks about it in the Father Cool. However, his memory apparently infiltrated his role consistently. He wasn't actually a gym leader, says Mims, but rather a substitute that took the place of the regular gym leader on a few occasions. He also wasn't very good at his job, reportedly becoming angry and snapping at the players he was supposed to be taking care of. This earned him his first ban from the store, lasting 2 weeks, which according to Lucas began on the 4th of April 2008. To Chris's very slight credit, Mims says he did resist using his custom Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards in actual games. Mims and Lucas also noted that he played the Universal Fighting System card game, often playing female characters such as Cassandra and Chun-Li. The game plays a photograph. In the fall of 2007, Chris discovered the Encyclopedia Dramatica page devoted to him. There he also discovered a blurry photograph of himself, which has been taken and posted to 4chan by Mims and Lucas respectively. Though he'd already pretty thoroughly blown a gasket over the ED page, Chris went even crazier, trying to discover the identity of the photographer. In an email to Anna McLaren in November 2007, he mentions pestering the staff of the game place to go through their anti-theft camera footage to find out who have taken the photo. Unsurprisingly, they wasn't very cooperative. According to Mims, Chris complained about the photo and the ED page so loudly and frequently at the store that he managed to eventually that the management eventually threatened to kick him out if he didn't stop. Chris also complained to his mother, who apparently became as angry or more so, to the point in early November Chris's parents visited the store and interrogated Mims as to the origin of the photo. After Mims admitted that he had snapped the picture, but freaking ignorance on how it found its way to the internet, they threatened to take legal action, but never actually did so. Chris's investigations continued on and off for months after he originally found the picture. In an email to Megan sent March 2008, the oddly situated in between desperate apologies for the porn he drew for her, he recounts the indirect confrontation with Lucas at the games at a GameStop on March 8th. Another quote. So it has been. Right, I'll read it again. So it brought up to mind my first word being monkey. So I told Mims that, and with a turnaround towards the accompanying Lucas, I said in his direction, well, that's something new that you didn't know about before about this can. I noticed a look on his face like, wow, I can totally rail that tidbit on that tidbit of information. He said nothing, and that was Chris's idea of subtly from the Megan emails. Later, Lucas gave his own interesting take on the story. The funniest part about it that I had no recollection of him saying that to me whatsoever. I had no idea I was even a suspect until I saw the email, and that was Lucas from Lucas and Mims Q&A. Chris gets the boot. And let me just see if it's done there, and yes, working. Okay. Whoa, here we are. Chris gets the boot. Let me just see if I actually record, because yeah, that's fine. Okay, because I need to make sure. Chris's behaviour offended the store's management and the customers in a number of ways. Aside from punting his gym leader duties, scaring the small children he played card games with, picking fights with other players, and generally being racist and homophobic creep, he would tuck his video game consoles into the gameplace and take over the shop's flat screen TV for considerably amounts of time, loudly sing along to Britney Spears doing games, pick fits inspired by his hatred of the Xbox in public, and so on. The straw that broke the camel's back was an incident in the summer of 2008 where Chris got into a shouting match with a young black kid. This particular incident triggered Chris's permanent ban from the store. Although Mims stated Mike was looking for any reason to ban him at this point, while Mims' recollection of what was that the permanent ban took place in August, Chris's correspondence indicate that it must have occurred on the first Saturday of June. Predictably, Chris did his best to resist getting kicked out of the store. And just bring my mouse up. He brought his parents into argue his case with Michael Schneider, to which Michaels responded by calling the girl cops, despite a fierce response from Barbara Chandler. Chris and his family failed to move either Michael or the cops, and from that point onward, every indication was that Chris would never be allowed back in the store. My jaw is really aching, I don't know why. In the CWCki emails, Chris offered his own version of events, the so-called re-incident. According to Chris, was when Michael Schneider forced Chris to stop bogarting the TV for his Wii. Doing this apparently caused a number of small children to miss out on obtaining a few trade-only evolution Pokemon. Chris got angry and wrote a letter sign or simply scrawled the note on the side of a cardboard box stating, Michael Schneider loves the F out of Mary Lee Walsh. It's a bloody weird thing to put. This Chris claimed was Michael's last straw, and he booted him then. According to the Wikipedia article from Megan Schroeder, Chris claims that Megan was there on the day he was banned, and claimed that she just stood there in shock, refusing to speak up for him. In reality, of course, she was simply disgusted by his behaviour like any irrational person would have been, and revealed that his banning would be the last time Chris would ever be in her sight. Also, she refused to defend Chris, not because of shock, but because of the sexual harassment, destruction of her dignity, anger issues, and the overall immaturity, ultimately cementing the fact that nobody wanted Chris to ever return to the store. In February 2011, Chris mentioned in Autism Tutorial 3 that he still feels bitter over his banning. I feel so fucking tired. Oh dear. I think it's just so bloody late. I might end up uploading this tomorrow, you know. I need to edit it as well. It's going to take a long time. Unbanning Attempts. Chris repeatedly attempted to overcome his ban and gain readmission to the store. As mentioned in a July 2008 email, Chris sent a letter to Michael Schneider shortly after his initial 1-month ban. In March 2009, he attempted to apologise in the best way he knew, posting a video on YouTube on the off chance of the individual addresser to see it. It doesn't work that way. This was not the most sincere apology in the world, since Chris made it clear in a later video that he doesn't really understand why he was thrown out in the first place. A month later, in April 2009, Chris attempted to sneak into the store, but when the cashier recognised him and caught him, Chris ran as far as he could. After 2 years, almost 2 years after his initial ban from the game place, Chris would try to get his ban lifted. Chris's conversations with Jackie revealed that he attempted to go back to the game place after church on the 11th of April 2010, which he was once again recognised by a cashier and who threatened to call the cops. Chris got angry and bolted. The next day, Chris visited the store again to talk to Michael Schneider in an attempt to have his ban removed. However, this visit did not turn out in Chris's favour, as the audio from the incident shows. Michael refused to revoke the ban, later noting on YouTube that Chris was actually reading the apology from a pre-written script. Chris took about this as well as could be expected. He flipped Michael off, called him a Jew, and left the store in a huff. The police were called about the incident, according to Mims, but Chris was already long gone by the time they arrived. No charges were pressed, likely because no one was actually physically abused. Later that day, Chris uploaded the audio from the incident to YouTube, accompanied by a description soliciting harassment and trolling of Michael and a few employees. However, it was removed from the site in a matter of hours due to terms of use violation. Considering Chris's anti-Semitic remark directed at Michael, his invitation for others to harass him, and possibly illegal nature of the recording, it's not hard to see why it was wiped off the website. Chris has never fully understood why he was kicked out of the store. According to Mims, Chris didn't see what was wrong with his behaviour at the time, and he evidently hasn't reflected on the subject as much in the intervening years. During the April 2010 visit to the store, the only possible grounds for his ban he could remember was the aforementioned incident. Later, he posted an ad on Wikipedia complaining about Schneider's refusal to lift the ban. Chris appeared to believe that the store manager refused to let him in because he hated him personally, and people with autism in general. In October 2010, Chris made yet another request to be readmitted, wearing an ancient Pokemon League t-shirt. He apologised for his behaviour and said that his ban was his fault, blaming the whole thing on the infamous stress, only to be claimed to have he only claimed to have shouted a loud outburst twice. Unsurprisingly, Mike wasn't moved. With Chris's continued failure to overturn the ban, it was clear that his chance on winning an entry to the game place were almost as remote as the chances of his duck winning entry to China without the use of commercial services. The Charlottesville Incident. On the 4th of June 2010, Chris visited the game place. He claimed that he wanted to take a photograph of Schneider so he could print it out and use it on a dartboard. But when Schneider saw him with his camera outside, he chased Chris. Chris claimed that he tried to drive away, but was accosted by Schneider, a woman he didn't recognise, and the police. Schneider's version was a more sufficient. I don't know. Chris is in my parking lot right now, being grilled by the police. He took pictures of my daughter and tried to run over me with a car. Tried to run me over with his car. They witnessed this, and I bet they still did nothing about it. And that was obviously Schneider's report on it. The police listened to Chris rant about the Charlottesville role and eventually made him delete the pictures and sent him home with a warning. Chris didn't tell his parents anything, and it would be 2 months before they would learn about it. Here we go. Crime story. So it's still recording? Yeah, still recording. Good. Main article, October 28th, 2011. On the 28th of October 2011, Chris and Barb got arrested and ended up facing multiple charges: hit and run, both, misdemeanor assault, trespassing, Chris, and attacking a law official, Barb. Going by the details of said charges as well as the photographs uploaded to this very wiki of Chris himself, it would be assumed that the two tried to enter the store and Chris got into a fight with Michael, and the two tried to escape the parking lot before the police arrived, damaging something in the process. When the cops showed up, Barb tried to stop them from arresting Chris. After the incident, Chris used a 10% coupon found in a local newspaper to produce a anti-game place flyer, stating that it was a cyberbullies hangout and encouraged people to stay far away. He also stated that the game place will go down by his will or someone else's fire on a stick and bombs, suggesting that he has learned absolutely nothing from his castanating court experiences. Google Maps spanning. A scathing review of the place on Google Maps, written by one Robert, was discovered by trolls. What's notable about this is that the review was written right around the time of the incident. The owner is very rude and a liar. He banned my autistic friend Chris from a store a couple of years ago. I tried to talk it over with the owner, whose name is Michael Schneider, to see if I can get him to let my friend back to be a customer there again. He wouldn't give me a reason behind the ban and hung up on me. But that's only the beginning. Just recently, he actually had the gall to charge my friend and his widowed mother with some bogus hit and run charges. The employees, however, were pretty nice and tried to help you. But if my money is going to be the profit of this utterly compatible owner, I would much rather take my business somewhere elsewhere. And that was Robert on the gameplays. That was Chris, I bet, doing that review. Several clues made quite a few trolls suspicious that Robert was actually Chris. Pretty sure it was. This mere fact that his friend has to point out that he's autistic from the get-go raises a red flag, and the message is pretty much full of biased contempt towards Michael Schneider, and pretty much sets the tone for his anti-gameplays campaign above. Note also that the words widowed mother is in all caps, something that Chris routinely does in his writing when angry. The second review showed up later by someone who identifies themselves as Ben McMullen. This review read, "The owner is a registered sex offender. He has also historically denied services to autistic patrons." Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's highly illegal to accuse someone of being a sex offender when they're not, and when there's no proof. And that was Ben, obviously Chris again. It's unknown if this is a review by Chris or by a troll, but judging Ben's other reviews, which included businesses in Georgia, North Carolina and Maryland, places that Chris has never been, it would appear that the latter. The above, another review from Alexander Deck, also appeared and looked very similar to Robert's review. Okay, so that must have been a troll. "This horrible place kicked my friend Chris out, and for that I can never forgive them." And that was Alexander, another troll, I'm pretty sure. Another review from Henry Bradson. This is probably Chris. It's probably because it's like long. The store has a wonderful and extensive collection of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, which what attracted me to the store in the first place. When my cousin mentioned he was banned from the store a few years ago, he made me realise how nasty the employees are. Upon a visit I took to the Quick Seville's Hobbies, Games and Toys last month, I had the pleasure of meeting who I think was the supervisor, or possibly the owner. His name was Mike, and he seemed like a very nice man. After only browsing booster packs for 5 minutes, I saw him start screaming at another patron. I don't recall what the argument was about, but it only lasted a few minutes. The little kid, who couldn't have been much older than 10, ran out of the store crying. The incident alone, coupled with the fact that my cousin, who already had troubles of his own, was banned for what he was saying, no good reason, has changed my perception on the store entirely. I would advise anyone who is interested in comics or toy collecting to not to visit this store. And if I could say something to that fat 60-something-year-old, I would tell him to change his business tactics of scaring kids away, because it will only hurt business. Also, it turns out that the owner is a registered sex offender. Okay, yeah, that's definitely Chris posing as someone. Barb and the gameplays. Almost done. A phone conversation recorded in August 2010 revealed many more details about the odd attitude that Bob and Barbara Chandler held and continued to hold towards the gameplays. During the discussion, they showed a total ignorance on how Chris behaved at the store and why he was banned. Barb shows signs of holding a grudge over her visit to the store after Chris's final ban, while Bob suggests that he believed that the trolling of Chris somehow originates from a conspiracy in the store. Got another quote. Mike and Megan are the only ones that conspired together. Are the ones that conspired together with a couple of other people. Kids there that I think were gay to pursued and torment Kristen for years, and that was Bob Chandler on the Gameplay's Conspiracy, and that was because Bob's a little bit homophobic because he was back in his time back then. Bob did not try to explain why Mike, Megan and the gay kids, likely a reference to Eric and Tito, would create a grand conspiracy against Chris, but he goes as far as to accuse them of fraudulently obtaining access to Chris's credit cards and bank accounts. Data uncovered a month later shows that Chris wasted a ton of money on PlayStation Network cards and games he will never play, resulting in further debt and an excuse to blame Schneider and the trolls for stealing his credit cards. Chris accepts the gameplays. On the 4th of April 2013, Chris posted on Facebook, I, Kristen Vesson Chandler, fully, never, ever, forever, want anything to do with the game and hobby place. It never fell through, and it could have been a genius plan to lure Mike into a false sense of security. Nope, he still wants it scolded. Into the 2013 Imager leak revealed a post. It would elaborate more on this development. Amusingly, Chris discovered that everyone at the place masterminded the trolling and continued to haunt him to this day. Particularly Megan and Mike, who he deemed the prime trolls. He also called for the place itself to be destroyed, if only the reason of ousting a man child that acted like a jackass in the store. Okay, good, it's still doing it. That's good. Either way, given the consequences of his actions and his utter refusal to let go of his childish things, it seems very unlikely that Chris will ever forgive or forget the gameplays. It does, however, raise a valid question concerning Chris. What will he do when his probation ends? Proving once and for all that Chris absolutely refuses to let go of his ban from the gameplays. On the 4th of October 2013, Chris posted a very angry Facebook post where he shifts all the blame onto Megan. In the post, he claims that Megan has been plotting with a Gameplay's employee to set up everything to get him banned. From the photo taken by Mims and Lucas to Megan pretending to kiss a homosexual jerk, thus leading him to get banned forever. He then goes on to say that he'll continue to curse the Gameplays and Megan until she apologises for what she's done. The saga ends in June 2014. Information was leaked on the Quickie farms that seemed to indicate the Gameplays had been shut down for good. The historical location of the store was empty, and the poster on the store's glass front indicated that the location was up for rent. Whenever the place was apparently shut down due to financial problems, Chris's curses or other factors remain to be unknown. But even after the shutdown of the store, Chris continues to hold a grudge against Mike. It is also unknown if the business simply moved away and changed its name to avoid being detected by Chris and Beans alike. I don't think so. I think like Michael Schneider got sold up because he wanted to do like other things and like retired and stuff. I'm not quite sure though. I don't think it was due to Chris and trolls. I really don't. Today, in November 2015, Gearhart's, a fine local chocolates business, moved to and opened in the former gameplay site, where it remains operational to this date. Chris mentioned the new store on the second Cat Night interview, saying that he does not feel it's as good as the gameplays and was not interested in entering, assuming of course that the new tenants would invite him back, allow him back. In September 2019, 2 years shy of a decade after Chris's ban, rumours began circulating online that a new place has opened in the suburbs of Washington DC, once again led by Schneider. I highly doubt that. Chris has yet to comment on this potential revival of his old haunts, but one of his orbiters, the miraculous Jacob Sockness, chose to harass Schneider in response to this, tracking down a guest book for the funeral to the latter recently deceased father to torment him over the banning of Chris. Well, Jacob's a fucking arsehole for that. Needless to say, no one was impressed with this new local greenery. Yeah, that's the thing. That was it. That was all of it. I'm not going to show pictures because I've recorded long enough. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be this will be tomorrow's video. I'm going to be editing it editing it tonight though, and I'll upload it like midday tomorrow, because I really don't have time to upload it and keep it up at the minute. So this will be Sunday's video, and today's video will be a recap. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.